for you. Perfect way, you no longer exist, you're no longer in
Welcome to AfterMat, your source for WWE pay-per-view recaps. I am your host, the People's Champ Cal, and alongside me, as always, I have my tag team partner, the Kalelmanofsteel, Delisha. What's going on, Delisha?
Hello.
I hope you guys can hear her today, because we are. I know we apologized last time for the audio. That's my fault. Like I did run it. However, with the update, I was saying that it reverts all the settings for some reason when you update it. I have no idea why they do that. But I did not check to all the settings prior to the stream. It was playing on OBS, but it wasn't outputting it to you guys for some stupid reason. So I figured out what happened, and I fixed it after the fact. But at least you guys still heard it through me picking up my headset and putting it on. But let me know if you guys can hear it this week. I hope you guys can. I think you can. But so how are you, Delisha?
As I know this side, I'm the one that is my laptop. So I am on my iPad. So I apologize if my audio isn't great or any noise that's going on in the background. I'm setting up in my usually speaking because we have now moved.
Yeah, so I know she is on her iPad, so her sound is cutting out a little bit, but if I can hear it and relay what she says to you, if you guys have trouble, just let me know. But yeah, I know there is some issues, but we'll be okay. We'll get through it. At least we're hearing her this week, so that's better than usual. Or last time, I should say. And Delisha and I were talking about, logistics of the show prior to us going live, and we're saying we're going to try to keep, not only because I go to bed really early, but we're going to try to keep it for the podcast sake, episodes to the recaps to like about 45 minutes to an hour. Obviously, if it's a show like WrestleMania or any of the Big Four, they tend to be a little bit longer with more matches. So if that's the case, if it's a 2-night event or something, our episode will go longer. Something like the AfterMat Awards might go longer as well. But we're going to try to keep it brief for you guys to just get the main points of every match and more so discuss with you guys what you guys felt about the match and how we felt about the match. Not so much what happened in the match because we're assuming that you guys saw it. But yeah, so that's what we think. We're going to try to get it, anywhere between 45 to an hour, and then, like I said, bigger shows like WrestleMania, SummerSlam, the Big Four, will probably run a little bit longer than that. Especially if we have a guest host or something, they're not used to like the cadence of our stream, or they might be, but you never know. So those are the ones we're saying we might go a little bit longer. Also, the next thing I just want to mention now, in case I forget to mention it, next pay-per-view is SummerSlam, and that's on a Saturday. For some weird reason that we were trying to Google why it was, but it's going to be on a Saturday. Even with it being on Saturday, we're going to keep the aftermath for Monday afterwards. So, don't expect it's the next day. Usually the next day. Who knows if they change it and make it a 2-night event? We're not sure. So just to be safe, we're going to keep our aftermath for the Monday after SummerSlam. So it might be a day in between. And one final notice, if you guys are watching Raw, if we happen to run over time, please do not send us any spoilers in the chat. It's happened in the past. And don't, I know you get excited about pay-per-views and stuff. Please don't text me because I go to sleep early. So when I wake up and I see, spoilers, it kind of sucks for me. So please do not send spoilers. It's a common courtesy just to ask, hey, did you end up seeing the pay-per-view? I know Delisha, texted me at the end because something big happened. And plus, she was a few minutes ahead of me. She texted me saying, hey, are you still awake? Are you watching? Before she, let me know what was happening. and then she saw my reaction to what happened because I was a few minutes behind her as well. But yeah, so just common courtesy. If you're gonna message us, just be like, hey, did you watch it? Because you don't know our schedules. We might be sleeping or whatever it is. I was actually gonna go to sleep early because I don't know if some of you guys have Peacock. They were having some streaming issues, and I was like, I don't want to sit up and watch this and like seeing like that kind of going on. So I didn't want to stay up, and I was like, but I feel like I might get some text spoilers or see it on Twitter or something. So let me make sure I try to stay up as long as possible, and I ended up seeing it. But just as a common courtesy, please message if you're gonna talk about it. Please ask if we've seen it and stuff like that before you blurt out spoilers. Anyway, okay, so Delisha, before we get into the first match, I know we were pretty excited about last night. What'd you think overall?
Overall, I actually thought that they delivered on the card that they presented. I don't know, I might have been talking to Joe, I was talking to Joe, but I was like, with the names on the cards that they, the matches that were going to be going off, I was like, this should be a really good show. And I do think that they delivered with that, with some here and there. But the only time I was on my phone was when I was live tweeting or talking to you, and that hardly ever happened. So they really kept me entertained, and glad to see the crowd back. I mean, I know we saw them at WrestleMania, but since we hadn't seen them again, it was kind of like, oh yeah, back to Thunderdome. But now after that, for the time being, it was really good to see. I know you don't watch SmackDown or you were watching it before, but that first reaction, like getting back to what we're used to, and I believe I said it on this show, like the audience really like that third component or like third partner of the show, and the fact, like, I think Ted Quoter, no, not really, but I think Charlotte said it best. I don't know now until it's gone. I think she was talking about the title. She was talking about the crowd with being in her heels before she was pointing at a picture of her.
For me, I know you said WrestleMania wasn't a live crowd, but I'm no acoustical engineer or anything. But from what I know, or I could surmise, is that a stadium is open, obviously. Sound will travel up and stuff like that. So I don't think you get the same loud reaction. Even though you have like maybe 100,000 more people filling the stadium, depending on acoustics and such. I think the arena can actually get louder than the stadium in some cases. Also, don't forget, I don't think they fully packed the stadium for WrestleMania because of COVID still having some limited capacity regulations. So, therefore, this might have been like the loudest reaction that the wrestlers had in a long time, besides the piped-in crowd reactions, obviously, which doesn't really count because they know in their mind that they're not really there, right? But actually seeing people with their butts in the seats, completely packed, and hearing the audience reaction, I think that is what helped maybe propel a better show than what it might have been or was. I think it was a great show, but we'll get to that at the end.
Watching a lot of them closely, you can tell that they felt it. I noticed it a lot with like Edge's match, even with the opening of the shows, like when they came out, even the heels, like when they came out, like most of the crowd was cheering because they loved the Usos so much. And you could tell them when they went up to go to the top rope to when they came out, like they was like feeling it. And there was a moment when not the moment we're talking about. There was one when Charlotte felt it during her Rhea and Charlotte match when they were just getting like super loud, not because of that, but like just because they were actually. And like you saw her kind of like freeze, like take a breath, and was like yes, and then like continue on. So they definitely felt it. Probably the most they had since March of last year.
Speaking of the Usos, they kicked off the show against Dominic and Rey Mysterio for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, and I believe that is your call.
Yeah, and just to let you guys know, when I'm looking down, I'm looking at the chat or at my notes because it's all on my phone. But yeah, we started off with the Usos versus the Mysterio family of Dominic and Rey Mysterio. Fun fact, this was Dominic Mysterio's, this is his second performance in front of a live crowd. Thus, this was Friday being his first. So this made this first pay-per-view in front of a live crowd as a wrestler. So that was very special. I feel like if you're a performer, you never really forget your first live. And for it to be in front of this many people that you're used to, I'm pretty sure. But we have, so they kind of really dominated the first part of the time to just work for the they dominated a lot of the first match. They really targeted Ray as in Dominic Mysterio. But of course, eventually they dominated some of the hot tag. And he kind of counted in a really cool way with the I know it was a springboard off the top rope. They kind of like and for the springboard backflip onto the HP, which is really cool. And usually you know you see a lot of like the taller guys or get into it. But that was pretty dope. But again, while Dominic started after with the couple to go after the and tag team keeping them on their side of the ring or outside of the ring. But as far as working great, so they eventually would take down the fight. Dominic tried to go for a move from the barricade. So that was out of action for a little bit while they got to work. Okay? But eventually a double there they would get to believe it was Jay or Ray tried to taking the other one. I get confused though of who's going to, especially when they're going to work it up to save him from putting him to win. Which one of the two was able to get a super kick on to Ray to go for a pin to get out of it. But they would go for it again, and this time out one of the roll up Ray for a pin. And while the ref was on the other side, not looking because he was blind, the other, I believe it was Jay, is holding on to the rope with his foot on his brother's back. Down, and now the Usos are now second time tag team champions. And at this point in time, all of the family are now holding it.
Right. Yeah. So, Will. Yeah. We are having technical issues on Delicia's sound. Delicia, I think when you turn your head and you lean back, we're losing you. So try to face the camera or like stay close to the iPad because I think that's when we get your best sound.
Okay.
And yeah, like right there, what you did when you said okay was fine. Like it sounded perfectly clear. And well, yeah, that I said that to Alicia last night that like Jimmy didn't get, or whichever one it was, didn't get punished for the DUI. But yeah, this was a good match. It was a solid match for. I don't think that like. Oh well, we'll get to that later and talk about our highs and lows. But yeah, this was a good match, and I'm glad for Dominic to have the thing. And he, like you were saying to me, you texted me saying like he's really improved in the ring, which it looks like it too. But you know, the Usos also work great together with anybody. So it was. Like, I know I texted you after the second tag team match, but it started my feelings for the tag team. How we always talk about up and down roller coaster. Right now, it's like that part going up, like, you know, like the first part, before the first drop, you go on the roller coaster. We're back on that again, so let's see if we can keep going up for a while before we drop back down. This was a fun match. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing the Usos win. Because I do like them as a tag team. You know, they've no strangers to the show of winning the AfterMat Tag Team of the Year several times. But, you know, I was saying, oh, you know, it would be kind of crazy if they win and Roman loses later on because isn't that kind of ironic because he's the head of the table, but then he ends up losing the title. We'll get to that later, see if he holds on or not. But, yeah, it was fun to watch. It's nice to see. I love my stables. I'm always calling for more stables, especially my Indian stable. I think the funnest part, I mean, it might suck for a lot of the other wrestlers in the locker room, but I think the funnest part is seeing a stable with all the gold. One of my favorite times in wrestling, and I know we don't like to talk about other shows really, but this is kind of like involving WWE superstars, is when Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe were a tag team in TNA, and they literally held like 8 belts together. Like, it was kind of crazy. So that was fun to watch. Like, one was a world champion, the other was like the like whatever the Intercontinental was back then. One is like the TV champion as well. They're both the tag team champions. Like they literally held like so many belts. I love seeing that. When Austin and I forgot who it was, they both held the belts. DX, I think, also had, like, one had the heavyweight, one had the Intercontinental, and they both had the tag team. It's always fun to see that. I know it really does suck for other wrestlers, because, like, we like to see the belts spread out and see people pushed up, because they were always saying that all the time. But it is once in a while fun to see. But in this case, it's a lot easier, because it's not just two people holding every belt. It's a tag team, and then it's a solo competitor. So that's that's different to see compared to like having like if it was like Roman with the title and Roman with like and then like one of the Usos with the tag team with the Intercontinental title, then them having the tag team titles as well. That would have been like even worse. And then putting like Tamina and Nia Jax together and having them have the women's tag team championships as well as the Raw and women's SmackDown. That would be like the worst scenario ever because of like all the belts are in that family, which I don't mind that family. I'm just saying that's just too much. But this was a great match. Now we have, like Alicia said, the family has all the belts. Well, not all the belts, but the majority of the important top tier belts at the moment.
Yeah, I was gonna say not going to good, but I was like, can we involve Tamina? I was like, she is part of this.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's just still with the tag team belt, I think that would be kind of cool. But we on the main roster, we don't have hardly ever any stables with intergender.
Mm-hmm.
Going on. It's the last one I could think of was the Straight Edge Society. Maybe like the last one. Because I think that was after Dolph, AJ, and BB. So I can't really think of anyone after that really had incorporated.
Well, they kind of had Naomi with the Usos, right? Kind of thing. That was kind of like a thing, right?
Dude, that was kind of. That was more like a. Actually, you know what? I think it was like Cena and the Usos. They came in together as action, but they never really had a name for like a faction. Because right now, like on NXT, we have the Way with Roman's wife and Hartwell and Jerry. We also have Hit Row with like Scott and others. Okay, those are only two. But like, it's pretty cool to see them integrate. Both sides. I thought that they could probably do that. Because Tamina is legit part of the family, and then you just have
Nia.
Well, it doesn't have to be Nia, but you just have Natty because as an auxiliary character. Because
yeah. But Nia is part of the family too, right? So that's what I was telling Skye. We were talking about this earlier before we went live. I was telling Skye like, yeah, we could throw in Nia and Tamina as a tag team, and then have them as the women's tag team champions, and then you'd have like the whole family holding almost all the belts.
I didn't mention Nia only because at this point in time she's on Raw and they're on SmackDown.
No one knows what anyone's on anymore. I don't think it even matters.
I only remember Nia because she's involved with the Raw.
All right. Before we get to the next match, I just forgot to acknowledge everyone in the chat. We have Entertain, welcome Entertain. We have Will Firefox, welcome, and we have Skye Inc. Hello. All right. The next match is the women's Money in the Bank ladder match featuring Zelina Vega, Asuka, Naomi, Alexa Bliss, oh my god, Nikki Cross, but she has some new name, I can't remember what it is, Liv Morgan, Natty, and Tamina. It's something like ASH. Is it like Nikki Cross ASH? Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Almost superhero, yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So, basically, if you don't know what happens to the Money in the Bank, there's a briefcase suspended above the ring. You pretty much need a ladder in most cases, unless you're Alexa Bliss who can use her power. Well, at least tried to use her power earlier in the match to bring the briefcase down. If you get the briefcase, you have a guaranteed title shot against the champion of your choosing within 1 calendar year. So the match kicks off with everyone coming to the ring. Alexa was first. She made this weird pose in the corner, stood there for like the entire entrances for everybody else. And then even when the match started, she stood there and everyone kind of looked at her like, what the hell's going on? While all the wrestlers went out to go get the ladders and bring them back into the ring. That's when Alexa pretty much sprung into action, grabbed the ladder as well, but nothing really went on. One of the things to note was Liv Morgan kind of had like a resurgency. The fans were behind her. She was springing into action a lot of times, breaking up people's ability to get to the top, as well as making a lot of springboard moves to get to the top, as well. However, she stopped several times. Natty was more of a hindrance to anybody, as was Tamina. Tamina played at the powerhouse point throughout the match, using the powerhouse moves. Eventually took a bunch of people to get her out. Naomi was a quick, agile person jumping up, doing her cool spots to get onto the ladder. Nikki Cross didn't really do much, I don't remember, except for the one big spot that she had where she jumped off the ladder, crossbody block into everyone. Asuka also, I don't really remember doing much in the match except for a lot of butt bumps. Whatever, I can't remember, I forgot what the name of that move is, but she did like 800 of those in the match. So that happened. Zelina Vega also was very forgettable in this match. I was so excited to see her back. The one thing I was mostly concerned about was, can she reach the thing? Even when she got to the top rope, she's like 3'2", only person shorter than her is Freya. So I thought, like, will she make it to the top? Will she be able to touch the thing? But she was. So she really didn't do anything that memorable either, if my memory serves me correct. It was just a lot of Liv Morgan being spotlighted, which I like to sing. I wanted to see Zelina spotlighted more because she's just returned. I know Delisha was pushing for Naomi a lot. So was the crowd, according to Delisha, but I didn't hear that. Alexa did some of her like stupid stuff. I'm really not Alexa. You guys know I'm the biggest like Alexa Bliss fan. I don't like her angle. I don't like her story. Where are they going? Like when her? Oh, that's one thing. Her and Zelina got to the top, and then she like mesmerized her and caused her to walk back down. Like, this is stupid. Like, stop it. Then they eventually like all teamed up on her and buried her. Poor little girl. She's like 7. No, she's like 4'7", and they buried her under like 14 ladders. But if you look at the angle, she wasn't really buried under any ladders, but the way the camera worked it, sometimes they showed her buried in like 14 ladders. Anyway, after Alexa was buried, the rest of the 6 other women, I know there's 8 women total, so Alexa was buried. Then the 6 other women went to the top. Who was missing from that? Nikki Cross. So while they're all, like, there's 3 ladders set up, two women on each side. They're fighting over the briefcase. While that's happening, here comes Nikki Cross, secretly climbing to the top, snatches the briefcase when no one else is paying attention, and she's now your Miss Money in the Bank and has a guaranteed title shot for the next calendar year against the champion of her choosing. Other than that, I know Delisha had not several complaints. She had, I don't know. I would like to hear the chat, because I had a theory about this, but I want to hear what the chat might have theories about this. Delisha, would you like to say... Oh, wait, should I break up? So I'll introduce her point and then she can go into it. She's saying that she doesn't feel the women are granted the same...
Leeway?
Leeway, thank you. As the men in doing crazy stuff in the match. So that's what Delisha feels about it. So Delisha, explain that feeling as you describe how you felt about the match as well.
Yeah, and just in particular, the Money in the Bank ladder match. I kind of I went back this like past week, like watching clips from like a different Money in the Bank that I had liked, and since there's only 3 of them, it was pretty easy to get through the women's ones. And what I always saw that is they don't seem to get to be as brutal as we see the men do. Of course, you want them all to be safe and everything and comfortable with doing that stuff. Or you could just do very well, but some of them aren't comfortable with doing it. But I couldn't really think of any like crazy spots that happened in this match, other than Naomi, I think, catching Liv Morgan and power slamming her onto maybe Zelina or something like that onto the ladder, and I think that's about it. And maybe someone jumped onto the ladder to stop someone from getting on it, but literally within the first 5 minutes of the men's match, there was a crazy ladder spot that we all was like, oh my god. So I feel like they're not really given that allotment in this particular the Money in the Bank matches as the men go. Overall, I did like it, but I wasn't as enthralled as the men's match later. Honestly, like, even though I was feeling for it, I wouldn't have been mad with any of them winning, honestly, because the briefcase supposedly helped, elevate that particular character. They all kind of could use it. Well, maybe not Alexa, but they all. I'm not sure if anyone had Nikki Cross as winning the Money in the Bank or overly favored to win. So the fact that she did, it piqued my interest. And it does kind of tell me that they are kind of behind her and her character, which was her idea. So I think she started liking it. Like, she wasn't forced into this oh, this was something that she had came up with, lots of creative, guide approved, and now she seems to be really enjoying herself. So I'm glad for her for that. I do agree with you with Alexa. I don't know what they're doing. They put this on for way too long, in my opinion, and that's why we don't know what the heck they're doing with this. But like overall, it was fine.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So a few things to note. Skye agrees with you. But what I was saying is like, can they do the same stuff? Not all of it, right? Like the one thing that Ricochet did, as soon as the like, cool thing, I was like, I flipped out when I saw Ricochet do that, and he said maybe Casey can do that. I don't know, but that was insane. But you got to think about it, like historically speaking, right? You know, you're saying there's only 3 matches of Money in the Bank, and I know you're speaking directly about Money in the Bank, but think about like Hell in a Cell matches, hardcore matches, women's matches, right? They still don't do really that crazy stuff. And the most brutal thing I've seen in the women thing, like in a while, has been when like Bianca Belair whipped Sasha and made that mark on her body. That was awesome. Like that was cool. And you know I hate the whole hair gimmick, but like that was cool, right? But like you got to think of it relatively speaking. This would be the spot where you should see cool stuff, right? But they haven't had the opportunity leading up to this. You understand? Like, so it's not like, you know, maybe they could work it off like in practice or something, and they could do something cool. But maybe since the creative hasn't seen them doing it in normal matches, they should have tried it in Hell in a Cell. They should have tried it in like steel cage matches. You know, they should have tried it in hardcore matches, stuff like that. But we haven't seen it. So maybe that's the reason why.
Though we saw that last pay-per-view, or we saw that in Hell in a Cell. We saw with Bianca and Bailey, they did get brutal. We've seen it with
most recently. I'm talking about historically over time. But because like the last time we saw brutal things with the women was when they were involved in the 24/7 hardcore matches. You remember those back in the day with Spike Dudley and the Dudleys would like put like Mae Young through a table, powerbomb her through a table off the top rope. Like, that's the last time we saw women do, like, crazy, hardcore stuff. And I'm not taking away the women. Like, I'm saying, like, they could probably do it. But we haven't seen them do it since then on a regular basis. And that's probably why.
In the Hell in a Cell and Elimination Chamber, we have seen them do some crazy spots. It just seems that with the Money in the Bank, they play it more safer. Which like, I'm all for, like, being safe. Like, I don't want anyone to hurt themselves. And like I said, it could just be, like, they need the women who are going to be comfortable doing those things. And if you're not used to taking those spots, then maybe doing it the first time in the ladder might probably isn't the best bet. But we have seen it. I know I've heard bring this up every year, but we've also even seen them being brutal on NXT. So it's not like they don't have the talent capable of doing it. It's they're giving them the allotment to be comfortable with doing it and letting them do it. Or just one spot. One memorable spot.
Well, they had the Nikki Cross crossbody, which she slipped on, was short on. So hey, even with the ref holding the ladder, I'm just saying, like, yeah,
that one was going to be tough to pull off just because of the location of the ladder, and also that was stupid because they were there for like 3,000 hours while she was climbing the ladder.
Right.
Anyway,
one other point that you were saying, you saw no one probably saw Nikki Cross coming, right? This makes me wonder, now that they've added betting to wrestling, maybe Vince McMahon is placing bets on his own wrestlers, not under his name because that's highly illegal and not allowed. However, he gets some Joe Schmo, here I'll give you $10,000 to go place this bet in Vegas on Nikki Cross at maybe she's 101 to odd. You spend $1,000, you just won yourself $100,000. You know, and Vince gives them $10,000 of that $100,000. You know, that could be a thing. I'm not saying it, you know, but I'm just saying, Nikki Cross winning. So, that brings us to our next match. For the Raw Men's you can't call them Raw Men's SmackDown. It's like a Hell in a Cell Money in the Bank coverage that we're doing today. The Raw Men's Tag Team Championship, featuring the Raw Men's Tag Team Champions, AJ Styles and Almost against the Viking Raiders. I know I called them Rangers before. I do love my Power Rangers, but they are the Viking Raiders. This was a few episodes ago, if you remember that. Probably the last time they were actually televised, so when I called them that. This was WrestleMania. Who knows? Anyway, if you guys know, I love AJ. So that's why I usually cover AJ matches. He did not show me anything in this match. I mean, like, okay, AJ did AJ. Like, he made other people look great. Like they say something about Shawn Michaels. Like, Shawn Michaels can wrestle a broomstick and have a five-star match with a broomstick. AJ is the same way. AJ is one of the best wrestlers we've ever seen, like, in the history of wrestling. And the Viking Raiders, I never knew how good they were. Like, I know Delisha always talks about them and, like, the revival back in the day and all that kind of stuff and how great the tag team division is. I never got to see it because they're always, like, gimmick matches against the Street Profits. Street Profits started growing on me until now they're not on TV anymore. I don't know why Delisha probably knows, but, I fast forward through everything, so it doesn't even matter to me. Anyway, the Viking Raiders were probably the best part of the night for me. I mean, they had, if you know, like I talk about classic wrestling. I love old school wrestling. This was like a classic old school tag team match displayed by the Viking Raiders. They did like moves like the Demolition would pull off, Legion of Doom would pull off, doing tag team double team moves all in and out of tags consistently. And that's what you should be seeing in tag team matches. Not putting just two people together randomly. These guys were made to and bred as a tag team, and I love seeing it. And I can't really. Basically the match was just like them beating the hell out of AJ, and then Amos would come in and like clean up things, and then AJ would tag himself back in or get himself back in. Then them beating up on AJ, and then same thing happened over and over, pretty much throughout the entire match, where AJ would make the Viking Raiders look phenomenal because that's what he is. And the Viking Raiders, are great themselves. They have great athleticism for big guys. They have great moves for big guys, and that's what we're seeing more. That's the new generation, with people like Keith Lee, Sami Zayn. Kevin Owens was saying. Kevin Owens, all these big dudes that can do crazy stuff. That Rusev wannabe in NXT. Bronson Reed, I think his name is. Fake Rusev. Rusev 2.0. He does pretty cool stuff too. Dominic Dijakovic. Like all these guys. Like big guys do crazy things. I love seeing that. It's great to see all that kind of stuff. So this was a great match. I mean, almost as a big guy doesn't do absolutely anything. He's more like the Great Khali. But anyway, he does what he does. He just yells, slams people, tells them this is their house. That's about it. So he just came in, cleaned things up. He finally got the pin on Eric, I guess it's Eric. It's the one that isn't cute, that everyone says isn't cute. He did like a double-handed choke slam and pinned him. But basically, AJ was getting his ass beat the entire match, which is fun to watch because he makes everything look awesome. And the Viking Raiders looked amazing throughout the match, but the AJ and Almost retained thanks to Almost. Delisha, your thoughts?
Yeah, it was fine. I think I said it before, I'm not really on board with the Almost character at this point in time. I did see improvements in this match. He's doing a little bit more wrestling moves now. I think he told me he's being trained by Nash. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's good. And like you said, AJ was being AJ, and the Viking Raiders, for me, were just being the Viking Raiders because I know that they put out perspective. So this was just like hit all the points, and then we have AJ and Almost retaining. I'm not really liking them as a tag team just because Almost doesn't really have a character. He's just a big guy in a coat who can choke slam people. Right now, that's all I know of him. I don't know if because his high school tournaments aren't as great at the moment, but I guess he doesn't have to speak because the way that they're portraying him. But I'm just not on board with it. So to me, when I see them matches, I don't get really excited.
Yeah, I predicted a while back. I feel like they're going the Shawn Diesel route, where Shawn was like obviously we know about Shawn Michaels. Diesel was his bodyguard, much like almost as AJ's like bodyguard protector. And then Diesel had a lot more charisma. Kevin Nash had a lot more charisma, ring work. He was a great wrestler prior to going to becoming Diesel and the bodyguard. Back in WCW when he was in WCW, he was a great wrestler as well. Almost doesn't really have. He's a great Khali moveset, or the old school John Cena moveset, like 3 moves. And 1 phrase. So, like, this is not gonna... I don't think... I was like... When I first saw Almost, I'm like, oh, this is gonna end up being like the Shawn Michaels Diesel angle. I can't see that happening. This is just... He's not that good. As for one last thing about the Viking Raiders, the last match of the Viking Raiders in action was, I think, WrestleMania or whatever it is, where they fought, like, ninjas. They teamed up with their opponents to fight ninjas and stuff. So, like, I saw them as, like, gimmick, fun, like, characters, like, doing, like, tomahawk matches or whatever it was, basketball, slam dunk contest. So this is the first time actually I can really see them wrestle, and I was very impressed. The next match was for the WWE Championship, featuring the WWE Champion, Bobby Lashley, against Kofi Kingston. Now this is Felicia's matchup.
Yeah, well, this recap was kind of short, because if you thought you were getting Kofi Mania 2.0, I'm sorry to disappoint you. Lashley totally dominated this match, in my opinion, in a good way, but for those who don't watch Raw or Fast This is what Barbara said he was going to do. Kofi, in a way, it was kind of his fault. He called out last week, telling him, "You've been listening to MVP this whole time with your champagne pouring and being with all, but the ladies, and you kind of got a little soft." So Bobby was like, "All right, bet I'm gonna give you dominating Bobby," and that's what we got last night at Money in the Bank. Even though the match went on longer than I think it probably went off about 5-6 minutes. It was basically the Bobby Lashley show, with the pretty much ended the match with like 3 dominators in a row, and then with the Hurt Lock, finally Kofi. I don't even think Kofi tapped. I think he just literally couldn't even move.
Actually, I saw Lashley shaking his arm to make it look like he's tapping. If you go back and watch it, you kind of see that.
Okay. And I remember.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Asking me was this over again. Kind of yes and kind of no. It was kind of them sticking to the same storyline of Bobby being this dominant champion. Even when he was winning by necessary, he was still a good point dominating a good portion of those matches. And it's really just to prop him up. And Kofi, these props Kofi were really selling Bobby's moves the whole time. It wanted to maybe tease the crowd with a comeback from Kofi. I think that he has a chance of probably winning. But they went with the narrative of just Bobby was over dominating. So either way, I do think that it was right for Bobby to retain, so we can continue the storyline of, with a possible, if things keep going according to plan, by the time we get to the Survivor Series, pretty good matchup, in my opinion, of champion versus champion. If we still have these two champions,
which we should. If you guys know, I love Kofi. I'm a huge Kofi fan. I'm not so much a Bobby Lashley fan. I'm more of a fan since he took his headband off, so that's great. He took his headband off. He got a few points. It's kind of like the opposite of when Finn Balor puts makeup on. When Finn Balor puts his demon face paint on, his overall score goes higher. When Bobby Lashley puts his headband on, his overall score goes lower, in my opinion. But yeah, so I love Kofi. Kofi, like we said, it's kind of like Dolph. Welcome, Slater. How you doing? Kofi is like Dolph. You can just throw him around and he'll make everything look good, right? And that's a testament to Kofi, a testament to Dolph. AJ can do the same thing, like we said. Once again, Shawn Michaels. We already spoke enough about those guys, but Kofi and Dolph can make anyone look good, but powerful, right? Because their athletic ability. Ricochet the same way, athletic ability off the charts. They can make anyone look powerful. They needed Bobby. I didn't need this, but they needed Bobby. The writing team needed Bobby to look dominant, right? So let's put him against a highly athletic person who could sell everything, who is also a former champion, and just completely dominate him, because what's coming up next? SummerSlam. So he's got to be built to be looked as a strong person, almost unbeatable, right? And he has pretty much technically been unbeatable since he's won the championship, in a way, right? And now he's going to fight Oldberg, I guess, and Oldberg is Oldberg. And so they want the two behemoths to clash. It's not going to be a good match, I'm telling you now. If it is a good match, good for them. I'm telling you now, it's probably not going to be a good match. But
it was a good match. Not on air.
She'll take a shot on air. You heard that there.
No,
what? If it's a good match, Gary will sell his Pokemon cards on air. Anyway, yeah. So yeah. Either Oldberg or Becky's coming out tonight. Yeah, both. But yeah, so I think. Oh, please, if you guys are just joining us, please don't spoilers. Don't message us what's happening on Raw, because we're not going to be watching at the moment. We're doing this obviously. Yeah. They had to make him more dominant. I hate how they did Kofi. I love Kofi so much, but it makes sense for where the writing is going. I don't agree with it, but it makes sense. So that's all I have to say about it. I wasn't happy. I don't mind Bobby as a champion. It's cool to see. I like seeing it. Would I rather have Kofi as champion? Obviously, I love Kofi. But, the way the story and creative is going, great. It's going well for them. Well, I guess because it was, like Delisha said, it was Kofi calling him out, so it was Kofi's punishment kind of thing. Not punishment by the writing team, punishment by Bobby saying, hey, why are you calling me out for being soft? I'm not soft. I'm a killer. Watch me destroy you, and he did. And that's what we're going to see to lead up to the, as Delicia's saying, well, for Survivor Series eventually, but first of all, his first stop is going to be Oldberg, most likely at SummerSlam, to sell tickets, bringing back a superstar like that. Anyway, I talked about enough, I feel. Like I said, I hate that this happened to Kofi, but who else could you get to do it? Kofi is a great, he took one for the team. Took one for the team again, I guess, against Brock, he did it as well. So you can never knock Kofi for not doing what's best for the business in the business's eyes. Not in our eyes, but in the business's eyes. And that's what he's done.
I was going to say, Kofi right now is kind of like, in the fans' eyes, because him with the New Day, they are so charismatic, they are so over that the fans cheer them almost no matter what. So he doesn't really lose his prestige, so to speak, especially because companies are always hyping him up when they're in the ring, no matter what, even if he's losing or winning. So I don't think this hurts Kofi. It was written to make Hollywood look strong, and that's what Kofi's job was. And I think, I guess I would have liked a little bit of to the crowd thinking that Kofi would come it, but
no, I didn't want that. For business.
Anyway, so it's still great.
One final point Will brought up. What if Lesnar? What if it's Lesnar? I hope it's Lesnar. Because what would be awesome? If Lesnar beats Lashley with Paul Heyman in his corner, that's two of Heyman's men, both the champion in each brand. But what happens in Survivor Series? They have to fight each other, right? That's what I was thinking ahead of time prior to the, but right now it's looking like it's going to be Oldberg. But I much prefer Lesnar versus Lashley, and Lesnar winning. Hey Rachel, how are you doing? I rather see that. That would be awesome if Lesnar comes back and then you have Heyman holding a champion. Imagine that picture of Heyman standing there with two belts, one left and then Roman on one shoulder, Brock on the other, and he has both the belts. That's a cool picture. And then, but however, they got to go against each other in Survivor Series, unless they throw in the NXT champion, whoever that is right now. No one knows, because no one watches NXT. Next match features your Raw Women's Champion Rhea Ripley against some woman.
Yeah, so this one I'm going off memory because my note that's crashed. Lovely. In this particular match, if you saw me tweet from Hell in a Cell, I was nervous. I text Cal, okay, time for me to go back to being nervous, because I was telling Cal, it seems like even though Charlotte in this particular heel iteration of her character, I like it, but it seems like the writers do not know what to do with Charlotte when she is not in title contention, which I don't understand, because he's great. She should be able to do whatever it is that she needs to do. But this match was, in my opinion, us not even knowing going into the match who's the heel and who's the true babyface. The crowd made that decision, and because they were cheering Rhea because they do love her, and even they actually did cheer Charlotte when she came out. I think they just respect her as an athlete. They like her entrance. Even Cal says she has better roles than her dad. But Charlotte made sure you knew she was the heel by flipping off the crowd when they were chanting for, I think that's when the Becky chants kind of started. So she flipped off the crowd. I didn't know what happened because the screen just went black, and I was like, all you can hear was crowd reactions.
I think first she did the DX chop, and that's when it started cutting out, and when it came back, she was giving the finger.
Oh, okay. So, we talked about earlier, Peacock isn't exactly the strongest streaming service going on right now. But it started off kind of Charlotte's match, as she dominated most of this match, and there's Rhea just playing playing defense off to Charlotte. I think she started the match by kicking Rhea out of the ring, so it was it's going to be that kind of night, okay. So we got a lot of Charlotte offense with her trying to do either figure 8 or the figure 4, depending on where she is in the ring. She even did her patented moonsault off the top rope onto Rhea from outside the ring. It wasn't as bad as it usually is, but you still did kind of miss her. But Charlotte and Brooklyn were so tall that I think Charlotte usually overplays it. So there was that. Now Rhea again was putting in her open pin, putting her in the riptide one time. She tried to do one, I think, off the top rope. That didn't quite work out well in her favor. Charlotte did injure her knee early on in the match, so she tried to continually work that through the match, as we always see someone, not someone hurt, quote unquote, by a move, and that's when Charlotte really tried to put it on the Rhea would definitely not actually not be counted out, or she would not put it in. So Charlotte didn't hear what she was. When they were on the outside, she punched Nia's knee through the step, which is between the step and the ring, causing to further that injured leg storyline. She then finally put her in the figure four, or it might have been the figure eight at that point. I'm not sure. She just did like a tap. I really did enjoy it. It was a really great match. Much like they didn't have fun, they put on a really good, fantastic show. So good that the Becky champ stopped and they started kind of just off. I was like, good on you, girl. Thank you for appreciating a good match. And the only thing I don't like is I don't like that Rhea had to. I mean, I do understand it in the storyline point because Charlotte was working on it. This is the same way she lost X title, which made people upset in the first place. And then Rhea never really fully got her full redemption for that. While she did retain her title last night, it was due to a dumb disqualification. So I don't like how the match ended. We do have Charlotte being a 13,000th time women's champion. I still don't know how I feel about it because on the one hand, I kind of get it. Maybe if we're going the FDA transparent route and to get the belt, I'll feel it. Or I guess, but as how many times we were to go at it, it would have been nice to do a super Becky versus Rhea. Yeah, what I'd like to do to a game, that's not really going to happen a returning. So I honestly don't know how I feel about it. I Charlotte doesn't need a title at this point. She is Charlotte Flair. She is her, for lack of a better term, ever. But like I said, the writers seem to not know what to do with her. Which
you know what the writers should do with her? Send her to another brand, maybe a brand where her husband currently is, or fiance, whatever he is. Get her off this brand. Get her off this company. That'll make this company so much better. I wouldn't have to see her face ever again. So basically what we knew going into WrestleMania is that Rhea was going to be a placeholder because of Charlotte's injury. Charlotte was supposed to win the championship at WrestleMania. Unfortunately, fortunately, she was injured. So Rhea was like the placeholder until I guess this night when she ended up losing the championship. But when will Rhea get her due, man? Like, she's dropped the championship twice. I know it's a different championship, but she's dropped the championship. She's never beaten Charlotte cleanly. Or has she even beaten her? I don't know, because like the one was a DQ, right? It's just frustrating, man. Like I always say, Charlotte's like super Cena. Like even like super, like if you watch Dragon Ball Z, it's like Ultra Instinct. Cena is Charlotte. She can't lose. She's only lost like I think once or twice on a pay-per-view cleanly in a singles match. All right, because if she lost cleanly in a tag team match or something, or triple threat, she wasn't the one that was getting pinned, obviously, or tapped out, or whatever it is. Hell, they had Rousey get pinned over her at WrestleMania, whatever that was in New Jersey, New York. So, like, she will never lose cleanly except, like, maybe once or twice, and maybe in the future, like, when she finally decides to, like, give in to the company and stuff. I agree with you. Rhea needs it. It needed it more, obviously, and it would have been a fresher storyline going to SummerSlam. But like we all said, it's probably going to be Becky versus Charlotte at SummerSlam for the bigger name card, more so than Becky versus Rhea. So Becky versus Charlotte. That's one. SummerSlam being one of the big four. It had to happen for writing again. Once again, do we agree with it? Probably not. I don't, at least. But yeah. So, that's what happened. The next match was for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. It featured Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre, Matt Riddle, Ricochet, Johnny Drip Drip, John Morrison. See, I even knew that nickname because they said it during the thing. Otherwise, I would not have known it. Big E Langston, Shinsuke Nakamura, and whatever Seth Rollins is calling themselves these days. And I believe it's Felicia's match.
Yes. Actually, I couldn't even think of what he's called. Xavier? I don't know. So I still have a note up, but I just went on to a website to get. This one started off with this all-out brawl between all the superstars. We had a really funny moment between Morrison and Steph over who had the most drip, so to speak. Because when Steph's doing all the crazy shoots and Morrison got the crazy hair and all that stuff. So that was pretty fun. They would actually come up with a pretty alliance throughout the match until, of course, Steph turned up and hit him with a wire. Right off the bat, we had Ricochet flying out to Morrison or Rollins, one of the two, and then Riddle jumping over to hit the other one. And they kind of had a little alliance, a little bit going on with them too, because they're in real life friends. But I think Cal, you might have missed this part a little bit because this is when the string really went bonkers and was just glitching in and out for I think everybody. If Twitter is to be read, to where we got a standoff between Drew McIntyre and Big E, and because they're on opposing brands, this is a match we don't really get to see, or I don't think we've seen this matchup of these two behemoths of men going at it, and the crowd really got behind that. But they didn't get to go to blows yet because people kept coming in the ring, so they just tested their own strength by knocking people out until they finally went after each other. With McIntyre getting sort of the upper hand by giving him a I believe that's what his move was called, right? Future.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say future
shock.
Yeah, and then this is when we got the Morrison and Rollins team up by out, which I thought was pretty funny. I didn't know that these two interviews, and what they did, and it was fun. He helped Rollins hit the Falcon Arrow onto the ladder onto Kevin Owens, taking him out after Owens hit. And then, like I said earlier, Rollins took out Morrison with the ladder, putting him up. This time, after that, it was McIntyre's time to they each, everyone got little stuff to do all their moves and stuff. Slamming Rachel with the ladder and Spine Buster. And it looked like he was really making one for it to oh snap, they're really going to do it. They're going to push McIntyre to get the briefcase so he can once again face Bobby Lashley. I mean, presumably probably wants to Lashley, but as well. But not so fast. As he's on the ladder, we get what are their names? Shinky and Veer. Veer, who's part of a stable with Jinder Mahal. They come out. They drag him out to the floor where Jinder hits him with a chair, and so they drag him out of the match. Which I was like, oh, cool. We still get to explore this Jinder and McIntyre show that they have going on Raw, and it also clears the way for someone new to challenge the champion in the long run. Okay, and then after that, I think it was Riddle's turn. He was hitting RKOs on people off the ladders, or as I was calling it, the RKO, because I think it's only an RKO when Randy does it. This is really fun. And then one of the spots of the night, as we mentioned earlier, was Ricochet, as he leapt from the ladder as Riddle had to spin over, hitting the top rope and flipping onto a group of guys, the other group of guys who were on the outside. And while the crowd loved it, the bestseller of the match was Riddle with the shocked face, like, "Oh my gosh, dude! Like, how did you even do that?" Although he did have an earlier spot where he was on a turnbuckle and tight rope the tight rope to jump onto a ladder to try. But like both of those spots, he is a walking human highlight reel. I think that's one of the markers to give him. So there was no surprise that the big spot from the match would come from Ricochet. And throughout this whole match, the crowd was behind almost kind of everyone, even when they were like doing it all and stuff like that. They were still cheering people when they would go up to the ring, no matter who it was. And it seems like about to get Rollins in his, I guess this would be his second win, which he had said he wanted to do so he could go after Roman. But no, Big E would stop him and give him a big ending off the ladder, giving Big E a chance to climb up to the top and become our Money in the Bank winner of 2021. And I didn't know that until it was all over Twitter. He is the first African American winner ever of Money in the Bank, which. But all in all, I really enjoyed it. It's probably one of my favorite Money in the Bank matches of the last few years. It's so deserving for Big E. He's been putting in the work since day one since he got here. He's been putting over everyone else, and it's about time that he really gets another shot at a. I mean, I know he had the IC title, whichever one's on tonight. The United title. Even though he had that, I feel it wasn't really a memorable run. I feel like he only was battling Apollo for that belt. But this is really going to elevate his character, and imagine the promos we're going to get with him in the briefcase in the ring on SmackDown, which he told Roman he was coming after him. So if he held on to the belt, we told him that on Friday. So we'll see. We will see if he sticks to the SmackDown champion, or if he crosses over and joins his brethren back on Raw. You never know. Yeah. But I do think he's deserved. What do you think?
Yeah, I like Big E as well. Like I said, I don't like New Day as a group. I mean, great for the kids, great for whoever loves them. But I like them as individuals, especially Kofi, like I've been saying. But I do love Big E a lot as well. Yeah, well deserved, very good for him. I would love seeing Ricochet win. I want to see him pushed. Other than that, maybe Kevin Owens, but he's had his spot in the Sun already. Shinsuke's had his spot. Seth Rollins' his spot. So it for me is between like Ricochet and Big E. That's what I really wanted to see. We know Ricochet's never really given much. He's just in there to cool spots, which he did, as you said before. One of the unsung people of this match, I think, was Kevin Owens. I think he did some great spots throughout the entire night, the entire match, I should say. Yeah, so that was cool, and great for Big E. We'll see where it goes from there. I wasn't really, surprised. Like I said, it was most likely going to be him or Drew McIntyre. So once Drew McIntyre was taken away, when Big E went, I was like, all right, that's great. Like I said, I wish it was him or Ricochet, but Big E got it, so we'll see what happens. Will's saying that he might be going to catch it on Lashley, possibly, but I think he might hold on for a while because, like you said, the promos with him and the briefcase will be fun to watch. One last thing is after the match. Seth Rollins was complaining in the back, saying that he wants a shot, even though he lost. He feels like he's next in line, and he doesn't care who stands in his way. Which brings us to our next match in the segue for the Universal Championship, featuring the Universal Champion Roman Reigns against the Rated R Superstar Edge. In their first one-on-one match ever, because they said that 1,700 times in the promo of the nights. This was a match, if you can even call it that, which is a shame because, Edge is a great worker and Roman Reigns has improved. But yeah, this wasn't much of a match. It was just basically, it was fun in the beginning, but then I think the crowd died, and that's what took away from the breadth of the match. Like, it wasn't as enthusiastic throughout the middle of the match until we got to the end. But it started out fun with Roman kind of using his power and like teasing Edge, and then Edge coming back and using more technical wrestling and getting the slaps in on Roman's head, the cool like technical moves to make him look better. Until then, Roman obviously eventually uses his power because he rolls out of the ring and talks to Paul, and Paul's like, listen, man, this is your match, go at your pace. Like, we've seen this several times throughout Roman's matches against Kevin Owens and other people, which is great to have Paul Heyman there saying such things. So, go at your pace. You got this. You're the man. You're the head of the table. You're the tribal chief. You got this. And then, that motivated him. He started using his power moves, his methodical, slow attack, and just worked on parts of Edge throughout the match. Finally, Edge was able to get back into the match by hitting a spear through the barricade on the outside, but then Roman hit a Superman punch, which knocked out the referee. Which hit Edge into the referee, which knocked out the referee. Edge then used the crossface. No, wait. I think he hit a spear. Wait, I forgot which order it happened in. Edge, I think, had the lock-in of the crossface, and then Rollins ran in, hit Edge, and then ran out. But while Edge had Roman Reigns in the crossface, the Usos came out to save him. However, they were stopped by Rey Mysterio and Dominic and thrown to the back. That's when Seth Rollins came out, beat up Edge, which gave Roman a chance to escape from that lock. Edge recovered, hit another spear, started to pin him, but remember the referee was still out. Another referee came to the ring eventually, and Rollins, we counted 1, 2, Reigns kicked out. Edge got up, went for another spear. However, Rollins distracted Edge. Reigns then hit the spear on Edge, got the 1, 2, 3. After the match, Rollins attacked Edge, and then Edge fought back. They fought to the outside, and Reigns took the mic. Roman Reigns took the mic, and before we get to what happens, we'll just have delicious thoughts on the match before we get to what happens after the match.
Yeah, I did enjoy the match. I think by this time the crowd was getting a little tired. It's their first time back out in such a capacity and cheering all night for their favorite superstars. So, there's a little leeway. No, I'm just kidding. I do think they were tired. Also, this was going to be a slower paced match, especially right after the Money in the Bank match, go on to a slower paced match, because these two are more technical and powerful players, so they're not going to dwell on not a lot. Adrenaline running, but I think it was a very good match. These two who are one of the great. Edge is one of the greatest of all time. Roman is saying first ballot for one of the. So I knew we were going to get a good match regardless of what type of match or whatever happened in the pool. I knew it was going to be a good match. When we have that backstage match, we just way of stuff. I turned to Joe and was like, he's going to interfere in this match, isn't he? But he did kind of trick us. He tried to do a little sleight of hand, because he did say, no matter who wins, I'm going to be next. So he did kind of make it seem like he wasn't going to do anything, he's just going to wait it out. But no, tricky stuff. He Vince Edge took his shots from him, so of course he's going to go after him. So we got that match set up for 7 which again is going to be great. And Roman he's just being the best that he has ever been, and I'm really glad for it. They're letting him just go with it, and we are getting the best from Roman Reigns.
Right. And that's a consensus. I know Big Time has been a huge fan of his. Skye's been enjoying him as well. So there's a lot of people that are behind Roman's heel persona and his new attitude and storyline and all that.
I was gonna say, did you catch the crowd when his music hit? They started cheering, and it was like they realized, oh wait, no, he's like, what fucking do? I thought that was really funny.
Speaking of another polarizing figure, before we get to that in a second, Delisha texted me saying, why is the Money in the Bank not the last match? Why is this the last match? We're going to find out in a second. But I thought maybe whoever wins can cash in within a few minutes and make that match. But after that, welcome Bubba, how are you? After that, Roman gets on the mic and says, I am, no one can beat me. I am the tribal chief. Now the world must acknowledge me. Give it a moment of pause, and then here comes John Cena, the Invincible. Basically, Charlotte Flair shaved her head in between them towards the end of the night and ran out again. This time dressed in the John Cena attire because she can't be beat either, and she can't be seen. losing. Therefore, here's John Cena against Roman Reigns, setting up for a SummerSlam because you know what? Who sells tickets? John Cena sells tickets. They probably would have tried to get The Rock. Maybe The Rock is more of a WrestleMania catch. But if they couldn't get The Rock for SummerSlam, especially because it's near Vegas, it's in Vegas but near Los Angeles, maybe they could have tried to get him. Maybe the next WrestleMania will be in Los Angeles, I think. Hollywood, I can't remember. Whatever it is, maybe they're saving that for that. Or is it Dallas? It might be Dallas. Who knows? Wherever it is. Maybe they're saving The Rock for that. Who knows? But yeah, Cena's back. Cena says he's going to, I'm standing in your way now. So it looks like we're going to have them at SummerSlam. And, a lot of people like it. A lot of people don't because why not push other people? Why bring back somebody who's a part-timer? But now he's saying he's back. This is just the start of it. Because if you watch the WWE segment afterwards on WWE.com, he says he's back. It's not a one and done thing. And that's actually Bubba brings up a good point. Bubba says, why does Cena make sense? Because the last time he was in the ring, he was in under Bray Wyatt's spell, which is very true. But you saw what happened with all that. Maybe it got disillusioned after Alexa Bliss basically destroyed the Fiend. I don't know. But Cena's back. He's kicking off Raw right now as we speak. So please don't let us know what's happening. But which is weird because he's supposed to be facing Roman, who I believe is a SmackDown guy, because the belt is blue. So I can tell that much at least. So I don't know why he's on Raw. I guess we'll see. Maybe Oldberg will come out and be like, "Hey, this is my show." Blah blah. Then maybe Becky will come out, and then it'll be like a whole thing. And then Hulk Hogan will come out, and then whoever knows will come out, because that's what usually happens in these kind of shows. Usually it's the Raw after WrestleMania, but hey, this was a great show, almost WrestleMania caliber type show, if we could say. But your thoughts quickly on Cena, and then we'll go wrapping up the night.
Yeah, I knew he was coming back. I didn't know he was going to come back like last night, which that was a nice little surprise. It was almost kind of when Lesnar returned on Cena, even though I think that was on a Raw. It reminded me of that. So I don't think a lot of people was expecting to see him like that night. Which I get it. If you're going to have this ultimate deal, who better than the ultimate baby to push ultimate baby face?
Sorry to interrupt, but I think they're also very mirror images because they're both polarizing figures. People love to boo them, people love to cheer them, or hate, whatever. It's just weird that they have that dynamic and that they're both the same person. So it's just passing the torch kind of thing in their type of character. So
yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. Like that crowd pop was amazing to hear too. It's been a while since he's gotten a pop like that in quite some time, because it's usually a mixture of blues and scary. And like you said, I think they really want to save Rock Woman if they can get that to happen for a Mania match. So which is why a lot of people think he's going to retain a lot throughout the rest of the year. But you never know. Sometimes, every once in a while, they'll throw a curveball at us and totally take the rough under us. But The Rock is shooting 57 movies a day, so he just got to find time in his very busy schedule to make it happen. But I still gonna be excited for Women, and because I think they will. I feel like they always have, but in this current iteration of both of their characters, especially with Roman, it's gonna be very interesting to see what they do.
That's interesting, but I didn't even think about that. A few last points on this is that maybe the match was supposed to be so slow and putting the crowd to sleep. That way, this huge pop would come out with Cena. However, with the Brock Lesnar thing that you were saying when he appeared on Raw, I remember that specifically. The fans were privy to that, right? They're like, we want Lesnar, which made Cena kind of break the fourth wall, saying, "You guys are smart. You guys are really smart." Like they knew Lesnar was going to be there that night. So the fans were cheering that and made Cena kind of break character, or not really, because he's like that. He'll interact with the crowd right away. So he knew like that. For some reason, they do the best job keeping Cena's returns under wraps, because that Royal Rumble return that he had in Madison Square Garden, this return, it's always a shock when he comes back. Which I hope is the same effect that Rock has. I mean, there were rumors. Like he said, I want to come back. He even tweeted that saying, I want to come back. I want to come back. But we didn't expect it to be this soon, because that interview came out last week. So I hope they have the same effect with The Rock if he does come back, to be no one knows. Then if you smell like, and that hits, and that might be the loudest pop we'll hear in a long time. If not, it's for CM Punk when he comes back. Yeah. So.
Guaranteed.
That I mean we'll see where it goes. We're always saying we're seeing, but now I'm really enjoying it. We I think last pay-per-view we weren't too happy with, but we were happy with all the ones we had prior to the last pay-per-view we had, which was Hell in a Cell, right? We didn't really like Hell in a Cell. Hell in a Cell wasn't that good in our opinion, and we usually tend to like the gimmick matches such as Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, Hell in a Cell, Money in the Bank. We used to like those. We tended to like those, but we were saying how great the pay-per-views have been all year, and then we fell flat. But then this brought it right back up, in my opinion. So, with that said, we'll have our finishers. We'll have Delisha give her low point, her high point, and her overall grade.
Yeah, I do have Joe's as well, if
okay.
you want that.
Yep, go ahead. Go with Joe first, then.
His high point was Disney winning, low point was Charlotte winning, and overall he gave the Disney a B. For me, I have the same high point with Disney, so I thought that would have been a fantastic closure to a match. Low point, I'm actually going to give it to the Raw tag team match. Because personally, me, I just wasn't interested. But overall, I'm gonna give the pay-per-view an A-. I really enjoyed the pay-per-view throughout, even if some of the decisions I didn't agree with. All the matches were good to great. There was no one more match this sucked. Like I said, the only time I was on my phone was when I was texting you or live tweeting on Twitter. So overall, they knocked out the park. But to be the first pay-per-view of WrestleMania, and they did a good job putting on the show.
This is going to be so weird to hear from me. But the low point of the night was probably Roman versus Edge. And I love Edge so much. But that match put me to sleep, literally, because it was past my bedtime, 1. And 2, it just really put me to sleep. High point, and this is going to be really odd to hear too, it's the Rhea-Charlotte match. That was probably one of the best matches they've ever put on. They put on great matches because they were great workers, but they put on great. And I hate that Charlotte won. That would probably make it the low point. But that match itself was amazing match. So that's kind of it's such a flip flop for me. I'd rather say the worst match was Charlotte winning, but that match I can't take away from the match. The ending not so much, but the match is amazing. Overall grade same as you, A-. I can't really fault anything. The things that are taking away from it are Edge losing, Charlotte winning, stuff like that. That's taking away from the perfect rating. But it was a great pay-per-view overall. I really enjoyed it. It's just. I hope the next SummerSlam is a big one, right? It's one of the big 4. So we'll see if they can carry that momentum. They have all the star power going into it. They have what they're planned, having big stars going against big stars in a way. And they'll have a crowd, a bigger crowd. Can that feeling and passion continue? We'll see with these rivalries. With that said, Delisha, where can we find you? And what do you have planned?
On Delisha Renee on Twitter, on Instagram, also Delisha Renee TV on YouTube. Kind of took a little hiatus because of life issues, and also now with my laptop being cracked, it's getting hard to edit some stuff and upload stuff. But I'm really gonna try to get something out this weekend because I do have a bunch of footage that I could upload and just give a little life update of what's going on. But it's just really hard with life. But I'll get back into it. Don't worry, I will be back at some point. Sure, with the
And as always, her links are down below, so make sure you check her out. You can also find us on Anchor, right? That's where our podcast is at, which the link is down below. It's uploaded a few days after this goes live. It takes a while for it to get the thing.
in case you guys.
And that's why her laptop cracks, guys. You saw it right there. But yeah.
Yeah, in case you guys haven't been privy to it, visual, this is one goes up on Monday, and then I always post the audio part on Wednesdays.
And as for me, I don't know if I'm streaming any games. That's anything now. There's no game I really have that on the. Like I said, I'm not going to stream unless there's a game I really feel passionate about. If you do want to see me streaming, I did stream the Final Fantasy VII Remake Intermission Yuffie DLC a few weeks ago, or a month ago, I guess. That's all on the channel. You can check it out. I've been posting a lot of Fortnite video highlight streams that I've been doing with some of my friends and co-streamers such as Skye Inc, Firefox, and stuff like that. So that's also on the channel. You can go back and watch that. But as for streaming live, like I said, I'm probably only going to stream games I really want to play and like that I would enjoy. I don't want to like just stream just for the sake of streaming, because I love doing this AfterMat and it's the thing I'm passionate about. But I want to play games I'm really enjoying, and I want to show that passion through the stream. So when a game comes up that I really enjoy, I always say the next game I have on the horizon is coincidentally Horizon Forbidden West, the next Horizon game. I said that before, but then I forgot that Final Fantasy was coming out. The DLC was coming out. So unless another DLC or game comes out in between then, I probably won't be streaming until Horizon Forbidden West. But the next time you'll see us here on AfterMat is kind of weird. Like you guys heard me earlier saying, SummerSlam is this year's going to be on a Saturday, okay, on August 21st. We will still be showing AfterMat on Monday, just in case they have a 2-night event or something that changed last minute, because it always says cards subject to change. So AfterMat will be still that Monday. Maybe at an earlier time, I'll have to speak it over with Alicia, because, if it's SummerSlam, it's going to possibly be a longer pay-per-view as well, with more matches. So, and, with my bedtime and all that, I try to go, I want to try to get it done early. So maybe stay tuned for tweets and stuff like that and all that. But yeah, that's the next time you'll see us. And until then, guys, keep slamming the haters and be the champion of dreams. See you next time.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays.